I'm Angelo Presta. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Facilities Management and Corporate Development at Humber College. And in that role, I have the pleasure and responsibility to look after the facilities management side, but also the capital development. The capital development really focuses on renovation and new construction. I could say over the last several years, even before my coming to Humber, we've done things traditional approach to internal renovation. Looking at the space, what does the user need? How do we give them what they need through, steel studs and drywall and get them. And then when that need changes in 5 to 7 years, 10 years, whatever that may be, we go back and do the exact same thing. When we looked at the multi-year project that is the business school development, we really wanted to focus on doing something different. Doing it different, coming up with an atmosphere internally that was unique, not as a trial, but as a new way of doing things. So from a look point of view, rather than just traditional, the drywall and then paint the wall. And secondly, we really wanted something that could adapt with time. That ability to adapt and change with time lent itself to that, pre-manufactured system. The ability to have the product, have the end product be able to be flexible was and still is a key seller. And we needed to set up a beta site, a site that we could say, this is really our test center. And then let's model future developments from what we develop in this test center. And the Faculty of Business space is an outstanding approach to looking at that. Not only in the product, but the visual aspects, the visual aesthetics that come out of that product. Something that isn't as what we've seen in the past. Something that gives us a ton of flexibility in what we can deliver, either in terms of finishes, in terms of functionality, whether it be some places that have to be noise reduction or management in terms of sound, and management in terms of look, flexibility of what we can do with the walls. With the introduction of this kind of product, we have the means by which we can do everything all in the wall system, and not have, here's the wall, here's what you have to add on top, then you have to add this on top, then you have to have that on top. This is all one complete. Yeah. So that component alone is something that we needed to introduce into our system. And it is a first for us, but based on what I've heard from the senior dean of the area, based on what the users see and based on from my own capital development team, I think it's been a great success. Part of our success in this is having people like Rebecca that's worked on this project, that works directly with you folks to say, you know what, we have 200,000, we're at 220,000, we have to find 20,000 someplace. Let's work together and find that. It does take a degree of control and ownership and commitment on the owner side to make it happen. We find in our renovation projects, in our major large renovations projects, I mean, as you said, this was a 4-phase over 4 years because the investment was, in the end, the investment was, $8 million plus in this renovation of the Faculty of Business. Our resources, the available dollars, lead us to the point that we need to take more control of it, because we get more out of it when we start investing that kind of money. If you were to just hand this out to a prime consultant and a GC to do it, in the end, it would cost us more than the dollars that we've spent. And so that's there's a not a payback, but there is incentive for us, because when you look at construction or renovation dollars per square foot, in the end, we still beat many of what's happening out in the industry because of that reason. There was an evaluation process that we did internally. So we went out and evaluated products because we had a vision of going in this kind of direction. So we looked at the market and said, what are the products out there? What can they provide? And we looked at, and then we assessed all the products. And then from that came down through a decision-making process, a standard review process that we had indicators, we had objectives and factors that we could measure, and then that then honed us down to the DIRT product. That doesn't mean that we didn't do an evaluation of the other wall or manufactured wall providers. So that was done. Once we completed that, then we go out and we do our standard, request for proposal, request for general contractor, and we build in the components in that we want. So is it a sole source? You might say in the end it is, because it was a directed want of a material, but there was a steps of evaluation that were done beforehand as a public company that we need to do to make certain that that's the product, and maybe also as anybody that's looking at making a decision. But we've gone through an evaluation process to select the item, the product that we want to quote unquote sole source with, and then pass that on to the GC. And then all the GCs have the option to provide a bid, but with the product list that we want, so that a competitive process is still adhered to as we are directed. But we get the list, we get the items that we want. If we need to do a sole source, or if we need to direct someone to a certain product, we have the documentation behind us that says this is the work that's been done to get there. When it's set up that way, it's easier for us to work with allowances rather than final dollars. Allowances gives the owner, gives us the flexibility to say, well, we have $10,000, $100,000, or $1 million to do this part of this project. This is how, and so then you get into the design, you get into the variations, you say, well, wait a minute, I think we have to cut here in order to fit within the budget that we have. And that allows us that flexibility. And, with the GC, yes, playing a role, it is a three-way partnership rather than a partnership between the GC and the product supplier, in this case, DIRT, working back and forth. And that sometimes doesn't work to the benefit of the owner. We have a sustainability strategic plan. We have a direction to build sustainability in the final product, either from an energy conservation or from other means. But the critical piece that has always been a challenge, in the past we've always recycled our construction waste. That doesn't mean that we've actually tried to reduce it. And so the report that you can generate is how that construction waste is actually reduced or eliminated. There's two big wins that we focus on. One, which I spoke about before, is the flexibility and be able to change without a large, huge investment, that a full renovation. And two, quality and consistency of the product. You can't do what you see around us on site to get to the same quality.